So, Jay-Z's name was apparently mentioned in the Epstein Files, which led to him losing hundreds of thousands of followers and Beyoncé losing millions of followers for being married to and staying with a predator whose name was exposed in a child SA trafficking case of the Epstein Files. Honestly, the more things I learn about this case, the more I realize that men truly are just inherently evil as hell. Hundreds of thousands of dollars spent by Jeffrey Epstein to soundproof his temple reportedly because he didn't want people to hear the screams of children. Epstein and his inner circle talking about experimenting on people, creating human clones and designer babies. Claims of Turkey selling thousands of underage children to Epstein's island for $200 million. Hidden tunnels and trapdoors in Epstein's house that gave direct access to the sea. Let's get into the evil done by some of these elite class, Jeffrey Epstein, Jay-Z, Woody Allen, Diddy, and many more disgusting men. No conspiracies, just facts and evidence.
There's no vindication for me because for 4 years I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
That was Jaguar Wright, who has been warning people about Jay-Z for years. Look at how excited he and Diddy are leaving a room full of kids.
So you see how we do it here on the Saturday. This is what it's about.
Jay-Z, quote-unquote, dated Foxy Brown when she was 15 and he was 23. He was going out with Aaliyah when she was 15 to 17 years old and he was 26 to 28. Jay-Z met Beyoncé at 16 and started dating her when she was 18 or 19 and he was 30. In 2007, Jay-Z said he met and fell in love with Beyoncé 10 years ago when she was only 16.
How long have you known her?
Wow, a long time.
How long? 10 years?
However long she's been recording. That's when I met her.
Well, don't you remember how long it was?
Yeah, when I met her. I mean,
was it 5 years ago? Was it?
I met her 10 years ago.
But did you say to yourself at that time, "Wow"?
That's a fantastic talent.
Was that what you said?
Yeah, because
you saw talent. You saw talent before you saw anything else.
Jay-Z signed Rihanna at 16. In an interview, she said that she was flown in to meet Jay-Z, who wouldn't let her leave until she signed the contract and locked her in the office until 3 a.m.
How soon after you stopping singing did you get a deal?
12 hours?
And 12 hours later, your manager called you or told?
No, 12 hours later we signed. We didn't really leave. We stayed in the building.
You didn't leave the building?
Right. It was pretty much that day. It was literally 12 hours later.
And Jay told you
3 a.m.
And they told you can't leave? You're like, I'm tired, I want to go back to the hotel. Don't worry, I'll sign with you.
Because they didn't want us to go audition for other labels.
So
that's what the fear really was.
Semi-kidnapped you for 12 hours.
Jay-Z also allegedly got a 16-year-old girl pregnant when he was 22. And now, that child from that pregnancy says Jay-Z has been refusing to take the paternity test for over a decade because it would be proof that he assaulted a minor. Now back to Epstein. Turkey sold thousands of underage children to Epstein's island for $200 million, smuggling them out by private plane. Allegedly, a confessor claimed that girls were kidnapped from Turkey during the 1999 earthquake, saying they were paid $300 for every child abducted, which wouldn't even surprising because earthquakes were the perfect opportunity for these disgusting evil freaks to traffic women and children in mass numbers. They fly into countries like Nepal, Turkey, and Indonesia when there is an earthquake and abduct them. They then get lost in the quote-unquote missing numbers associated with the earthquake. Years ago, there was news about names of overpriced furniture on Wayfair matching up with names of missing children, and a lot of them were immigrant children. The files also show that Jeffrey Epstein's assistant bought a single unlabeled $8,453 item from Wayfair. Wayfair said the prices were algorithm errors and that they were just how the system handled stuff that was out of stock, but people were still suspicious. Same with Walmart. During COVID lockdowns, people noticed exaggeratedly priced children's toys listed on the website.
¡Comieron humanos! ¡Asquerosidad! ¡Comieron humanos! Yo no estaba enterada de nada. Que había, o sea, los asesinos sí, pero que habían comido humanos. ¡Humanos! ¡Fuera la carne humana!
This was 21-year-old Gabriela Rico Jimenez, a Mexican model in 2009, begging and pleading with people to help her, screaming about elites eating people, rituals, and sacrifices at an elite party. She claimed that, starting from 2001, she had been under the control of the elite. being a slave to Carlos Slim and former U.S. President George W. Bush, claiming they were involved in murder, human sacrifice, and cannibalism. Following her public outburst, she was detained by police. Shortly after this event, she vanished from public view, with no further official hospital records or public statements made regarding her whereabouts. Recently unsealed documents related to Jeffrey Epstein reportedly contain allegations of cannibalism and torture that mirror Gabriela Jimenez's claims. Slavery only ended for men, not for women and children. Hopefully, this will make people notice the link of how women are made to look hysterical and every man in power being a pedophile. Jeffrey Epstein compared girl children to shrimp and said, "You throw away the head and keep the body." Reminds me of Donald Trump's birthday card to Jeffrey Epstein. I found myself wondering why these men took so many pictures and documented all the evil things they did, like they wanted to get caught. But then you realize they take so many pictures for blackmail material and for them to have something to advertise and potentially sell to buyers. Some photos were also part of a child exploitation ring and for passports and identification. Released files included numerous photos of female passports and identification documents, suggesting the photos were used in the logistics of trafficking women across borders. Truly sick. And apparently, these disgusting men specifically targeted white girls. Some of these girls Epstein brought over from impoverished parts of Europe and Russia with the promise of giving modeling work or introducing them to rich men. They targeted young, naive, underage girls. It's sad that it took a dead man's emails to believe thousands of girls and women.
In 2001, one of the most sought-after models in the world goes on a talk show. She, Karen Mulder, frantically starts name-dropping everyone that had either assaulted her or sold her to be assaulted. This list would include royalty, politicians, cops, and her own family. But before she'd be done getting through that list, she'd be taken off the stage and eventually put into a psych ward, paid for by the very person she claimed started selling her in the first place. Her agent and owner of Elite Paris, the man who signed her at just 15 years old, Gerald Marie, who, by the way, would be prosecuted years later with an insurmountable amount of rape and sexual assault claims, only for the case to be closed in 2023 due to France's statute of limitations, which could have been avoided if anyone in the French courts had taken her seriously at the time she reported them, because yes, she did report them. And if that wasn't enough, I have something even more infuriating. One of the names she dropped during that talk show was Jean-Luc Brunel. He was an Epstein associate who was found dead in his cell in 2022. He was jailed on suspicion of rape and trafficking of minors. Sorry, hold on. After Karen's 2001 interview, numerous publications would come out claiming that she was going through a psychotic episode. Her parents would publicly blame this outburst on drugs, and her sister Saskia would go on that same talk show just to discredit her sister. Which may sound surprising, but remember, part of her desperate plea for someone to listen and do something included the abuse she endured in her childhood. So it's safe to say Saskia was also a victim. It's complicated, but it fueled the media and it fueled the tabloids to call her crazy, and she tried to take her own life in 2002. Thankfully, she survived and she'd returned to that same talk show to confront the host, heard this desperate plea, pulled her from air, and then deleted the tape. So the video of her speaking her truth would be scrapped altogether. The reason that we know this exists is because of his testimonies in the tabloids, hers, and audience members. Everyone called her crazy until the Epstein case started coming out. I read someone here on TikTok, female influencer with a lot of followers, comment once on a video and say that human trafficking was like the new satanic panic. I remember it had a lot of likes, and I was so disturbed then, and I'm even more disturbed that comment lives in my head when I read this story, because that interview could have saved 20 years of children. 20 years. And to be put in a psych ward by the very man who first did it, who, by the way, was the ex-husband of Linda Evangelista. Feel free to go down that rabbit hole. This isn't satanic panic. This is real. And the idea of it being satanic panic, like this huge, silly conspiracy everyone's talking about, is actually so destructive. And I feel like the desensitization that we have towards the Epstein Files is becoming more and more rampant, because when something is so devastating and so traumatizing and we're not getting a conclusion, our go-to is to turn it into humor. But if we're gonna do that, we still have to keep this level of anger. It's still happening. And a lot of the victims, the people that once were victims, are now perpetrators. It is that deep. It is that serious. Karen is 55 years old now. She is still a person in this world. She exists. And her only mistake was not doing that interview on a live television show.
Ruslana Korshunova was a Kazakhstani model who visited Epstein's island when she was 18 years old. 2 years later, she died after jumping from her 9th floor apartment in New York in 2008. Virginia Giuffre is one of the many victims of Epstein's network. She died, reportedly by suicide, just last year in April 2025, just a few weeks after she got in a car crash and said she had just 4 days to live. After fighting for decades to expose this network, Epstein and his clients weren't quote-unquote having sex with underage women like some news articles and police reports claim. They were raping children. They saw white girls as subhumans, experimenting on them, torturing and violating them.
Another one of Epstein's regular visitors at his disgusting pedophile mansion was, shocker, Woody Allen, who has been quoted by saying he doesn't regret his friendship with Epstein. He actually found him charming. Now, if you don't know, this pig was accused of assaulting his then 7-year-old adopted daughter, Dylan Farrow, who has spoken out candidly and openly about what her adoptive father did to her. And a recording of Mia Farrow and Woody Allen has resurfaced. It's actually heartbreaking. Listen to this.
What you've done to Suni, what you've done to Dylan. Dylan's a baby. How could you do that to her? You've told me nothing but lies. Dylan tells the truth inconsistently. And I didn't know the doctor had to report this to the authorities. I went just to be sure she was all right. And she's not all right, Woody. She walks around the house holding her vagina. She sleeps with me. She's scared of you. And you hurt her. I feel pretty guilty myself that I wasn't there to protect her. She said, Mama, you didn't help me. She said, Daddy shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have hurt me like that.
How is this sick fuck not in prison? Nothing ever happened to him. Shocking. He actually went on to marry Mia's other adopted daughter, Suni, who he helped raise since she was a little girl. And now the two of them have 2 young adopted daughters. Well, we can add Woody Allen to the names of disgusting, powerful, elite men who are somehow coming up in the Epstein Files over and over and over again. But they're all innocent. Nothing to see here, especially him. FBI checked it out. It's all good, all fake. Do you know why justice will never be served for the thousands of victims, young children? Because the same people that and tortured them are the same people running the world.
It's infuriating that the worst these men are getting is loss of followers when they should be behind bars for life. These are some prominent politicians, billionaires, and celebrities referenced in the Epstein Files. Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, Tony Blair, Mohammed bin Salman, John Kerry, Ted Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Michael Bloomberg, Alan Dershowitz, Noam Chomsky, Andrew Cuomo, Woody Allen, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, Mick Jagger, and so many more. And guess how men on the internet are responding to all this? They're showing support for Epstein and are saying he has aura. A man who assaulted children. They're even wearing his jacket. And it's being marketed on Instagram. A significant number of men envy Epstein for getting away with the abuse of so many women and girls. He is a representation of what male power enables, and they admire that. It's their main motivation for grasping for power and money, so that they can use it to oppress women and girls. This is why there isn't more social outrage. The trap door from inside Epstein's house in the island led to the sea is said that it was used to dispose of victims' bodies, which would then be devoured by sharks. And there's more alleged bodies of young girls buried at the Trump National Golf Club, Los Angeles. Imagine all the disgusting evil things these men are hiding, considering majority of the released files have its contests blurred out. I truly feel so terrible for all the women and girls who have suffered under these men, and I hope they get justice one day. Thank you so much if you watched to this point. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.